And we're live. Right. Hey everyone. Hopefully we'll check and see if this is good, but we should be up and running here with this week's iteration of the preview. We have a good one today. Arina, who's our community manager, is going to be joining us or is joining us right here this week's with some very impressive news. I don't know if anyone here is a fan of washed up main support. What's his name? It's like Custa.
Custard.
Custard. So Arena is in a Pick'ems league. If you guys don't know what Pick'ems is, it's in the Overwatch League when you join when you guess the outcome of who's going to win and how many maps every week. Very technical, very difficult stuff. Really big brain requirements. And Arena, who's in a very prestigious league with Custa and a lot of other big name Owl folks, came out on top in the June tournament. So we wanted to bring Arina on and talk about how she's so smart and how the Justice, like Arina, can be winners.
Yeah, I had full faith in the Justice going in after.
Yeah,
It's gonna be so funny when we pull those up.
I was gonna say we're gonna pull them up. We did not prepare for the difficult conversation of how much faith did you have in the Washington Justice.
So I've just been doing pick'em since like the start of Overwatch League. It used to be on high noon, but I guess they might have joined forces with the Overwatch League to finally
Yeah.
bring us what we have today, which is fantastic. They really picked that up from the community, and I feel like it's always been the talk of the town each
Yeah.
week of like, oh no, my pick'ems, or like people have extra stakes in the Overwatch League. It's like really great community engagement
Yeah.
that
And
the
the
league has
casters
put
do
in.
it. Yeah, and like
Hmm.
Florida's been like they've been every week they put their picks up, and then they've been tracking like a version of the pick'ems as well. And yeah, that's one of the cool things about Arena's job is like kind of finding some of these grassroots things. So like pick'ems is a great example. Like Stats Lab kind of came from in some ways like Winston's Lab, which was a run thing.
Hmm.
Even things like the replay viewer. I remember back in like season 1 of Owl when there were no replay viewers and there was like a community Google Doc sheet where someone would record each of the POVs from like the Twitch like premium package. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and we would pull all of those down. So like a lot of like the best things that exist in Overwatch League now started with communities, and Arena is like developing all of those things we're going to talk about today, in addition to her gigantic brain on Pick'ems, is the cool things that the Justice are doing now that COVID is finally getting kind of figured out. People are getting vaccinated. Arena is, I know, chomping at the bit to get our community reunited. So, and of course, at those events, you will see the fabled beverage, which Arena is showing off right now, Sip of Justice. We want to thank them, of
Yes.
course, for sponsoring today's show. So yeah, so here, do you wanna? I'll share your screen here, and we can take a look at those pick'ems. Hopefully, there was time to with the intro swap over to the Justice picks that we all.
Uh-huh. It's totally in favor of the Justice all the way. Let's see week 1 where everyone's pick'ems were destroyed.
All right, we
It
pulled
was
up. So
like
yeah.
that week of upsets. There's so much
Oh yeah,
red.
see 3-1. That yep. Oh, and then wait, so
Mhm.
wait, so did you lock these predictions in? Is it like do you
You
have to
can
do all
lock
of
them
these the
per like
weekend?
it's you lock them in like right up to the minute Overwatch League starts. So
Oh,
you
okay. I
can
was gonna say because I was like, you really gave Boston the 3-0 before the weekend started. Like I watched all the scrims that weekend. I wasn't even giving them that. Okay. So that was the appropriate reaction to what exactly are the okay.
Mhm.
So starting with Friday, the perfect
Yeah.
3-1.
Yeah.
So what is the point? So is it like a point for getting the whole thing right, and then a point each for getting the map number right?
Yes. So it's like either you get 0 or 2 or 3, and then there's some weekends that are like double points, which they just
Gotcha.
want, I don't know, extra viewership on those games or something.
Yeah,
Is
I
my
occasionally get like added on Twitter where they're like, "Hey, thanks, Pri," and then they'll like show me they got like double points, and I was like, I had zero impact on that outcome, but I'm happy you got
What do you
fake
mean?
internet points for that.
You did so much work putting in the taking out the garbage.
Taking out the garbage. Yeah, today was a very is like I joked that like as a general manager, there are manager days and there are general days, and today was a general day. Today was like electrician, plumber, garbage man day slash streamer. So us
Mhm.
on our toes. Yeah, so you nailed the Defiant Eternal match. You didn't expect London to sneak out a map there. London, sneaky competent, I think, on some comps and some maps.
I think it's like what messed me up on that one was they didn't play 2 CP or something until it was like the 4th map or
Yeah, that
something
was when
like
they changed
that.
it out. Yep, you're right. You're right. Yep.
And I
I
was
remember
just
you
like,
complaining
well,
about that, and I was like, "Why are you so upset about that?" And now I realize why. It cost you a point.
yes, because there's some teams that are just they just dominate on like 2 CP and it's just like it's not even worth like tempting a chance. But it's like whenever it's a 3-1, the one map tends to be the King of the Hill map.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause, yeah. They're the kind of random. It's so interesting. King of the Hill. It varies so much with meta. Like there's somewhere like if you take the point first, like that's a stat I wish they had on Stats Lab of like King of the Hill in maps and metas. There have been times where like if you take it, I'm sure it's like 90% chance that you're going to win because just the way that
Mhm.
like ults charge, it's usually a very even like ult economy. Like it's really hard to kind of break ult economy on those points. And so no, you're totally right. Those are the ones that it they
Yeah.
kind of get entrenched in a certain meta, but it is all it's kind of random across weekends.
Yeah, we
So
have like a command in my friend's Discord of just like King of the Hill is not an accurate representation of how well a team is performing.
it's so true.
Uh,
Is it what is it? Is it it's the shock this year, right? That have like the meme where like
mhm.
they constantly are losing King of the Hill and then sweeping the rest and 3-1ing all the time.
That sounds about right.
And
Which is
so
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was a good change that the tiebreakers stopped being only King of the Hill maps.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember there was like some pushback as well, just that like especially like in stage one when there were just so many tiebreakers and there was like the chance of that mega tiebreaker, there was a lot of kind of grumblings about like why are we letting the fate of teams be determined by the most non-representative of skill map mode.
Right.
So going to Saturday, a rough day for Arena and the Justice.
It was so many upsets. Like, I don't think
So
anyone
many.
got that weekend
Yeah,
right
I
at
remember.
all.
I think like the desk. I think everybody whiffed. Like yeah, and this is like when everyone realized that like Boston, like Valentine's Echo was very strong. That Atlanta had kind of found a meta that was going to work for them, and that they were going to ride all the way to Hawaii, and that the Justice were going to take an L on the weekend, and just kind of take a bit of a whiff on not so much the composition, but on the play style of the composition. I think we were one of the first teams that figured out like the goats, the neo goats. But
Mhm.
we like a lot of people just kind of think in Overwatch, select correct heroes, then you are quote like playing the meta. But we
Mhm.
had selected the right heroes, but our play style on it was all wrong. And it kind of we took a couple of weeks to figure that out. But yeah, what were your thoughts and reactions on Saturday?
Abandon all hope. Everything I know is wrong. Pretty much. That's why it's like the next day you saw me switch over to us getting 3 out by Boston.
True.
It's like
Yeah, some
Boston
smart
stonks
swaps.
going up. We are falling way down.
Yeah, and it's so hard. Like even like we had a bigger team discussion on Sunday, kind of after the whole weekend. But it's very rare that like I have seen teams or been on teams that when it's like Saturday night and you get kind of beat as badly as you did,
Mhm.
that with a scrim and a warm up and 15 hours, you're going to be like a totally different team. Like if it's something
Right.
like super obvious, where maybe it's like one player is feeding or something like that. But like for us, it was just that we were just playing the meta incorrectly, and we've been playing it that way for like a week. So
So you stick to like what you know instead of like trying an unknown variable.
exactly, yeah. And so we were like, we took the L there, and you made the right adjustment. I think Boston definitely had things figured out that weekend, and we did not. Yep, Atlanta Spitfire. I think after the outcomes of the previous 2 days, a safe bet. So what were your thoughts on Florida Outlaws there? They Florida won, right? Yeah, so that kind of makes sense. they won, Houston lost. They were looking. I guess people didn't know quite how strong Atlanta was, so that them beating it, Houston might have been a little bit
I think it was a
scary.
total surprise for most people. They're just
Yeah,
like, yeah, that was a pretty big upset, especially a 3-0. Like, yeah.
yeah,
Eh,
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah,
it's
we
a good
make
bounce back.
adjustments.
Did
Just
other
gotta
people?
lose complete faith.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask. So did that? So like, if you remember off the top of your head, or if there's a way to see it in here, like, were you ahead after this first one? Like, did other people kind of think that like the Justice losing was a fluke, or did they like maybe like not believe in Atlanta? Like, what what kind of week did you realize you were kind of figuring things out more than everybody else?
I think it was just like, yeah, just between the 2 days, people still had a little bit faith in justice, so they put like a 3-1 or like 3-2 and stuff, and I'm just like,
Nope, you just
just
abandon all faith. Ye who
yeah.
enter, yea, he, someone. Those who enter here. Lord of the Rings thing, isn't it?
Fair.
I think so. I think it's like on like the Mines of Moria or something. Anyway, all right. And so you do East as well, right? So for the pickums, this would be hard
Yeah.
for me because right now, I think I have watched like a handful of games in the East. Like with the amount of
Yeah.
time that I have to watch games and scrims, and the same thing ended up happening last year. Just kind of sucked that like this year,
That always tends to happen to
yeah,
people who work in the league, like people
yeah.
on the desk, people in other teams.
Yeah, like I talked
Happens
to
to everyone.
Avril, and he's like we like update each other on what's happening in our respective regions because we just don't have time to watch everything. So yeah, so let's take a look at your East spreads. I think this is where I would just kind of whiff. Were they any more consistent than your West ones?
As you can see, I just had another full day of red. It was just like 6 reds down the row.
Oh wait, can you
No one was
scroll?
having fun.
We can't see.
Can I? Did I scroll down to east on your
Not
screen?
on my screen.
Maybe we need to start resharing this page.
Oh, technical difficulties. All right, here we're gonna go back to our
Yeah.
floating heads. Okay, I close this one. All right, share it again. You guys might hear light crunching in the background. Bagel has gotten very concerned. Okay, so he's not
Aw.
munching.
Why don't you bring Bagel in to the office?
I do sometimes. I did. When did I? I did on match day, right? Saturday. I
I
want to.
feel like I see Luna like way more.
She's just so much easier, and she's also, despite the fact that she's the crazier one, she intimidates the players less.
Interesting.
Nice. Okay, I can see them now. All right, here we'll pop this out again. East region.
Yeah, maybe it's because like I
Nice.
adjusted the resolution size
I
of
don't
the
know.
window and it wasn't happy.
Despite as professional as this stream looks, I I'm not that great at this. But okay. So perfect predictions, big faith in the Spark and the Dragons, and perhaps did not see. I'm surprised. So I don't know if people that are watching know, but Arena has that. We share actually that NYXL background.
Hmm.
So not a lot of faith, but I guess it's against Philly. Philly's
I
a
mean,
hard team
it's
to bet
just
against right now.
yeah. NYXL was just it's a team full of rookies and Jonak. Well, not rookies. Some people are coming back, but mostly rookies and
Yeah,
Jonak.
yeah. This was like a bit of a Cinderella run for them. Like I was really excited. I know that they were as we ended up getting that first weekend, and as a lot of teams do. Like they were kind of getting the brunt of the fans' dissatisfaction at kind of how they were doing things. So this was a really cool run for them, even if it didn't really pan out in Hawaii. So that makes sense. If we're looking at your points, you got perfect on the previous two. That was probably pretty difficult to get, and then not a lot of people had that Excelsior pick.
Yeah,
Didn't,
I think it's just like it just really helped that I was like on the same page as most predictions, so I didn't get dinged too hard on this week.
yep. And then so man, if I was gonna go and rewatch a match, it probably would be the Shanghai Spark match. Did you watch that one at all? I didn't watch that at all, and I would have made this exact same prediction and been just as wrong because that's kind of shocking to me that, Spark did not make it to Hawaii. They were a
Mhm.
team that 3-0'd the Hawaii champs.
Yeah. It might just be similar to most teams scrambling to try to figure out the meta, especially because Spark had Shy, who was playing super well for them. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's
But
like
even
really showing off.
like Spark even the Dragons played the Hunters the day before, right? And the Hunters proceed to beat Philly, which I guess, the bigger story here is that Philly kind of had the same weekend that Justice did. They just kind of whiffed
Yeah,
on what they were doing. Because I was gonna say, like A beats B, B beats C, C beats A kind of thing.
the rock
Uh,
paper scissors.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, and
Nope.
Shy was. I remember going into like a lot of people know like Stats Lab is like my favorite thing to do after a match weekend, and Shy was just like broken. Like they had to like extend the graphs into like the upper right corners to account for the stats that they were putting up. So that was pretty cool.
He's, he's been really proving himself this year.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of the Chinese teams, it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how their team compositions do or don't kind of like we talk a lot about like mixed rosters in terms of Western and Korean, but there's like
Mhm.
that same language gap, that same culture gap when you're looking at Chinese and Korean players.
Yep.
Um,
It, they show that they like calm in English, like
yeah,
which it was just like, why is this a bridging language between you two?
right, yeah, it's crazy, and it's not easy. Like it wasn't easy for us when we had half of a fluent English team trying to converse with a partially fluent. But I wonder if that's easier. I wonder if everyone's only marginally fluent, so then there's no expectation. Like no one's using unnecessary vocabulary. Everyone's just like grunting out the most basic Overwatch English, as opposed to like people that are like, I'm taking the long route to the flank. It's like, what did he just say? Like, just go main.
Yeah. But I think like as much as like you can get across that like in-game thing. Was it you who was like it's easier to just be like out of game to communicate that like, oh, that's my bad that I did this thing in the
Exactly.
same
Yep.
language. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
That
definitely.
that was the big thing for me. Where I thought the biggest gap was going to be in game comms, and the bigger thing is like the culture and the conversations out of game that you just don't have. Um,
Hmm.
definitely. All right, so
Oh,
we got week one behind us. Week two, there were no justice games to mess up your pickups. Whoa, you went perfect. Look at this.
yeah, it's just two missed numbers
That
scoring
is
maps.
crazy. Okay, so yeah, so Fuel, previous Hawaii champs versus a winless team. All right.
Hmm. Winston
Uh,
looked like he was still being played, so
yep, like a top
they seemed a little
four
Gucci.
team versus a winless team. Okay.
Yep.
Uh, a top four team versus a winless team. A
Yeah.
man, I've been disappointed in the Defiant. I really think their roster, their coaching, it, I don't know. I think a lot of people were down bad on them before the season, and I was one of the people that like was buying the Toronto stonks, and they have not really paid dividends yet. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean the Shock are also just a hard team to against. Then the
Yeah, they didn't have an easy weekend at all.
no, and that's another thing, right? Like you think about like when some people that people don't always think about is like if you have a weekend where you have like one really strong opponent and one really weak opponent, that helps because you can kind of game plan and strategize accordingly. Um, but yeah, when you're going against two very strong teams, and also two very strong teams, I guess Shock and Outlaws have not entirely different play styles, but if it was something like an Outlaws and a Fuel, like good luck. Like good luck just preparing for the Fuel in general because it's gonna be so hard to find scrim partners that play the game the way they do. But especially if you're gonna play, teams in a weekend that are both strong and both have diverse play styles, that's really hard to prepare.
How much time do you, just like personally kind of speaking, do you prepare for like the first match versus like the second match of the weekend?
Uh,
Or is it pretty 50-50
I think
when they're
it
both strong?
yeah, I think it matters a lot less which one's first and second, because kind of like we talked about for the last week, like there's so little that you
Little
can
time.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Saturday to Sunday, it's really not like oh, we'll prepare for Saturday and then we'll like make the adjustments on Sunday. You kind of just go into the weekend saying like this is how we're gonna play the game. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think for us, we look a lot more at like when you have a meta, we are lucky enough with like good enough players that there are certain play styles in a meta that you can be comfortable with. And so like stage one is a great example, right? Where like on some maps we could play a Winston dive that we were really comfortable with, and then on some maps we had to kind of play a rush. And so the way that we kind of prioritized our time was, okay, we know that we're in like the 90th percentile with our monkey dive, and so any scrim that we put at getting that better is going to give us like really marginal improvement from like 90th percentile to 91st percentile, but we know that like our rush is like 60th percentile, so let's put all of our effort in there. That's usually more so than like the opponents that we're playing. It's more like the comps and the play styles that we're working on is kind of how we split our time.
See, that's pretty interesting.
Good question. Good question. And
Thanks. I've
so,
always been curious about that ever since some teams had back to back at Blizzard Arena.
yeah, and I mean, I really like. I hate how much like back to back. Like, I hate like what happened to us, right? That we had that Saturday Sunday back to back. But I love that Blizzard realized that, like again, like, and I feel like a broken record. I say this in all of my streams and all of my tweets. Like, all I want from Blizzard and all I want from this league is consistency. And so, if everybody is going into like constant back to backs and everyone's like, "Wow, these are pretty difficult," like, that's fine. And so, like, I wasn't even like, it didn't even like cross my mind that like, as a result of losing one game, we basically had lost two, because everyone's going through that, right? Like we just said, like Philly had the exact same thing happen to them. And so if it's something where a bad weekend can kind of come out and bite anybody, that feels a lot less bad to me than like we have a double bad weekend and like another team like equally doesn't figure out the meta, but they only have one game that weekend, so they kind of sneak out with less of an impact. So kudos to Blizzard.
Right.
Good move. Double headers for everybody. I like it.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, good weekend.
Yeah, good
All
weekend then. Then you
relatively
cleaned up there.
predictable.
Yeah, relatively predictable. I mean, but even I mean, like the fuel shock one, that I think probably, and that was a double points one. You probably snuck out a couple points there. I would guess that a lot of people were Dallas believers for that one. I mean, you're coming out of your Hawaii win. You have that because, like you said, you can do these up into the last minute. So they're 3-0ing. They're looking pretty good. But no, you were a shock believer. We'll see if that continues. Are there pick'ems for the playoffs as well, or is it just the regular season?
Yes, there are.
Ooh, I'm really
how bad we did.
I was gonna say I really want to see those. Okay. East week 2.
Oh, yes, a lot. The double points have been just helping me so much. I think is how
I mean, also
ended
this
up
is
on
another
top.
perfect weekend, right? You got everything correct. Yeah, you missed like what, 2 maps maybe? Yeah, so you're cleaning up here. This is when everyone, like I used to play fantasy football. This is kind of like when you make a a career decision, like a longevity decision to say, you know what, okay, I'm not putting as much research in this week because Arena just has the secret sauce, the info.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think like most of this was still pretty relatively predictable. It's just like getting the map scores right. That extra point
Yeah.
just helps so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Because yeah,
Just
I
like
just
in
landed on
Overwatch.
top.
Oh man,
I landed on top.
wait, is this your cumulative? Is 21 points? Is that your
Oh yeah,
cumulative, or is
it's
this
like per week. It's that
Oh, okay, so you
section.
cleaned up. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay, so 24. Okay, I saw the 21 versus the other ones, and I was like, oh, that's huge. But 24 was your big. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So what are we looking at here? Did you? Oh my lord! You didn't think. You didn't think that we were gonna figure it out in those 2 weeks. Shame on you.
I
Shame
remember
on
looking
you.
you in the eye before that game. You just like so nervous, and
I was
obviously that's when I
sweating.
went on my phone and
I
just switched
was
it.
sweating.
JK.
Yeah, I mean uh it's scary because especially when you have the weekend that we did. Like we didn't go into that weekend thinking, oh man, we have no idea what we're doing. We went into that weekend being like, oh, we figured this out. We're gonna play the game like the way that we think we should, and that's how we felt 2 weekends in the previous stage when we went 4-0. And so this weekend, like we had 2 weeks, and we were back at that place. We were like, yeah, we figured this out, but we had the recent as of the last time we said that things did not go well. So I was sweating, and we'll talk about like now we have the fans in there, so you got to like make eye contact with them after we lose. So I was,
Oh my god.
oh
It's so
man,
awkward when you guys
I
have to
was
like wait in the
sweating.
room and
Yep.
then we're just like waiting for the game to end and then they can leave. Ooh.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right.
But
So let's see.
yes, sticking to my guns of abandon all hope. But
Wait, you had Paris beating Boston?
yes, this
Explain
was
that, because Boston, they slapped, they beat us, and then who they beat? The other was us in Toronto, or us and someone else.
Defiant.
They were off that week, right? So,
Defiant.
yeah, Durant, yeah. So they were 6-0 at this point. I feel like someone leaked you the script. What was the call there? What was your belief?
So actually it's funny, this weekend or this one I just logged in and then this was when Ellie Vote retired.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I was just like, "Oh shit, I need to switch it back to like, Boston 3-0," and it didn't lock in. It didn't save my lock.
I was gonna say,
But
are
I
you just
don't
like the biggest Elevote hater? Where you like, oh man, Elevote's gone, easy 3-0. He was holding them back.
no, I think oh, it was because we were slapped really hard by Naga, and I'm just like, it's all Echo. Like Naga will carry them to victory.
True,
And
true.
then I was gonna switch it to Boston winning, but it didn't save, so it worked out in my favor,
Yeah, it,
luckily.
it definitely did.
But I mean, it was a close series, so it could have honestly gone either way.
Yeah,
So
and
I was
and the
just
next
lucky.
series was close as well. You had that one just figured
Yes.
out, and I think you would have like just absolutely destroyed me in this too, because again coming out like the previous week. I don't know. I felt like Florida, like of our two matches, I thought Florida was more beatable than the Shock, and I still felt like Dallas was pretty scary. So I don't know if I would have given Florida 2 maps. I feel like I would have given Florida 1 if it were me. You had it.
Yeah, I think they're just interlocked and forever battling each other. Fuel and Mayhem.
True, true. Yeah, those are usually really good games.
Hmm.
Fuel in a lot of teams. Fuel and Mayhem, Fuel and Shanghai have had some pretty classic
Oh yeah.
go the distance maps so far. All right, you got the freebie there in the middle. It's like bingo, the free space in the middle.
So nice.
And then we won't look at the bottom where you just lost faith in us. And
Fair.
the glads. Okay, question for you:
Hmm.
do you think with Kebster now local with the team, are the glads better?
Absolutely. Space is gonna work his like friendship magic he does with like every teammate, and they're gonna be the best of buds and just start winning.
I'm excited for them. Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Not just for like they're obviously like a great team, so they're a competitor, but it's such a different experience. Like I think a lot of players and a lot of people really miss the first couple seasons when everyone was in LA because there was such a kind of like we're all in this together mentality.
Yeah, that
Um
camaraderie.
yeah, and some of our players actually for our break went back to LA and like met and met with and like hung out with and like grabbed drinks with some of the sadly it was not a DC Brau Sip of Justice who was nice enough to sponsor this, but they grabbed I assume an inferior drink. Yeah, I think that's it must have been lonely for the Kevster.
Yeah, I mean, like, last year we saw Fielder, like, by himself the
That
whole
was the
time.
saddest. Why are you even bringing that up? It's like bringing up like Scott's tots. Like, don't even bring those things up here. Like, that's so sad. That was the worst when they won that
Because it
tournament.
makes, like, the moments when
Oh
he
my
wins
goodness.
with Dallas better because
True, true.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then Dallas did that again. Vancouver kind of struggling.
I feel so bad for Vancouver because, like, we've been there. We've been,
We
like,
have,
mentally
we
boomed,
have.
and everybody's just, like, bashing on them, like, "Why aren't they, like, trying harder?" And it's just like, you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah,
So,
it's
it's tough.
like I mean, I obviously like don't like that the Justice were a team that struggled for what we did, but I do like that it kind of gave us the attitude on like socials and stuff than it does. That like we are one of the more kind of PMA and less being very very mean to bad teams out there. So
Yeah.
because we've been there, the fans know, we know we've been there. Then hey, you gave us a pity map against the Shock. I appreciate that. That was nice.
It's the King of the Hill map, so I was just like, "We're gonna get that one." I swear.
Oh man, we should have won that. We lost that to the.
Yeah.
I am going to forever advocate for the remech ability being taken out of the game because we lost that game over a remech. Oh, it makes me sick.
We
Busan,
were
remech
also the
on
first
decay.
team to die to a
Oh
remake during the Paris
my
match, so
goodness.
remake has been haunting us, but I love it. I think
I
it's so
hate it
fun.
so
It's
much.
so silly.
I think it's fine if they just like nerf it down to less than it can do 150 damage, but like
Yeah, it does, like,
250
more
it
than a
can
pulse bomb, doesn't
yeah
it?
it can one shot like 90% of the heroes in the game. Why? Like why? Like I don't understand. Like make it 150 and you still have the incentive to not stagger her. But oh my lord, you can spend the remaining like half an hour of the stream talking about that. But I'm not gonna
I'll
do
pull
that.
up all my friends' clips of him getting remake kills.
Word.
Oof, that
All
was
right,
rough,
back to
but
the
everything
east.
else is fine. Yeah.
Back to the East, Fusion, figure things out. I didn't even realize how closely I've been talking to Roston about like our team's weirdly similar paths. Like both the
Mhm.
Fusion and the Justice went 4-0 in stage one and then and had the one seed and missed Hawaii. We both got missed the meta entirely weekend one and lost. We both bounced back and performed very well in weekend two, and then proceeded to miss Hawaii again.
I mean, just looking at their schedule, they had a pretty easier schedule this week, which helped.
I mean, I feel like that's just like I'm not going to advocate for Unter's tweet about the East versus the West. But I will say that
Mhm.
I feel like the West is a scarier place to be this year. Last year, definitely understand people saying it was the East, but this year, like the top four teams in the West are on any given patch are scary teams. It's good that Shanghai won this last tournament, because otherwise I would have hit the retweet on Under.
No. Instead, you get to retweet Fates.
That was hilarious. That
I
was
love it
so
when
funny.
players get to clap back
Yes,
on
that and
things.
it was appropriate. It's like
Yeah.
I like the shit talk, but I also like people being kept honest. That was both
Yeah.
both were appropriate.
They're all good banter by the end of the day, I feel.
Yeah,
And
it
there's no
helps.
hard feelings. Which people are always like, a lot of fans take a lot of their banter like to heart, and I'm just like, "Nah, it's fine. We're
Yeah.
just joking."
All right, and then the yep, all of these pretty cool. I'm surprised you
Mhm.
gave two maps to the Hunters. Hunters were kind of getting slapped around, and the
They
Spark.
are such a conundrum of a team.
That's true. We need like the stats on which team is like the easiest to get points off of in pick'ems, like which team is the most consistent at like doing what you think they're going to do, and which
Mhm.
team is the most useless. And I feel like Chengdu is definitely in the conversation for most useless pick'ems team.
Yeah, it's we have my personal friend group have our own pick'ems things going on, and
Huh?
if you get one right, and everybody predicted it the other way, you get a big brain, but if you pick one that was the opposite from everyone and you lost, it's like a smooth brain, and we have one really dedicated Chengdu Hunters fan, and she has the most, big brain
Nice,
tally
nice.
marks next to her
I
name,
was gonna say, but like I feel like
thanks to the
she could
Hunters.
also have the most smooth brain. Like I feel like it's like a double edged sword. Like you could both.
Yeah, it's true, it's true, but get
That's
to
awesome
brag about that one.
for sure, for sure.
Man,
All right, okay. So
man.
then, so you picked. See,
So
I
for the West, I picked, Shock and Dallas, and the East, I had Spark and Dragons.
so when you make these picks, do you get to know what side of the bracket teams are on? I assume yes, right?
Yes, but you have to watch point to find the brackets, which I found out, like, at, like, 2 a.m. when I was doing this, and I was just like, "Where are these, like, games? When are they
That's so
happening?"
funny.
So,
Yeah. See, again, like
but
these. I
last
feel like
stage,
this
I
is
didn't
what
know what side of the brackets they were, and it turned out horribly because I picked Florida and Justice last time.
on the same side of the bracket. Tragedy.
Yeah. Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. See, these picks. I feel like these picks, no one could really fault you for. Like
Yeah.
Shy and the Spark were hot, and Nixel was kind of that young, unproven team, and the Shock are the Shock. And one thing with Rain, I think everyone kind of like Rain got a lot of the Scrim Bucks conversations early on, and they do have that really strong. I think their strength is definitely their DPS players. That I think it was like Avril and a couple pointed out, in the right metas that they could just kind of click. But
Mhm.
I think you probably made the popular choices here. These were
Yeah.
picks.
Yeah, I bet you, like, maybe, like, 80% of people putting these in had the
Yeah, yeah,
same
yeah,
picks as me or something like
100%.
that.
Yep.
Welcome to the tournament bracket.
Yeah. Yep. Atlanta.
It's not bad at all.
It's really not. Yeah, the Atlanta pick makes sense. The the Shanghai getting 3-0'd by Dallas was insane.
Mhm.
Like I think their comeback and their ability to adapt to Dallas's playstyle was really really impressive, and like you really can't take anything away from that. And I think that that's actually like my biggest like fangirl slash fanboy moment is when I see teams that adjust mid match or between matches. Like the Shock are frustratingly good at doing that mid match, and so I
Mhm.
was cheering for Shanghai
Yeah, the
this
the
tournament.
famous crusty yelling meme. Just give them good yelling and they'll snap back to it, but, you know.
Yeah, I would have gone like 3-2 there. Yeah, I'm a little surprised they got caught that off guard. And then you nailed the rain fuel, and then let's see, losers bracket. Man, you were too kind. You're showing your Nixel roots there.
I feel like Shanghai could still, like, be struggling in the early stages, you
Yeah,
know?
little mental boom from the
Yeah.
Dallas. Ah, I get that. I get that. Then, oh, this is the big one. This is like I feel this is the first full outcome you've gotten wrong in like 3 weeks at this point. Like you've missed like a map at most, and then yeah, this one you. I mean, and again, I think this kind of shocked everybody as well. Like Shanghai just decided putting fate on ball and just making some adjustments.
Mhm.
And then,
That's
oh my
yeah.
god, did you? I assume like I know. In addition to working for an Owl team, I know that you're also just a big Owl fan. So I assume you watched the grand finals.
Yes, of course.
Oh
It's
my
a long day.
goodness, best game of the season. Is that even debatable?
Ooh.
Is that what do you think?
I Yeah, I would say so, especially, like, after the first 2 maps, like, ignore those 2, and then just
Hmm.
start watching from the 3rd map,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
it's absolutely amazing.
yeah. I think crazy good. Yeah, crazy good. Like mid game swaps, like Shanghai figuring things out. I mean, Dallas's protagonist arc is still just super compelling and super interesting to watch and pay attention to. So,
Mhm.
great,
But it's
great
nice to see
finals.
Shanghai win a big thing, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean that's the other thing. Like I joked about this in like an earlier stream when people were like, who do you cheer for? And like I have the teams that like I kind of like because I know players or I know coaches. Like when it comes down to it, especially in the grand finals, I am an East fan all the way. Get those bonus wins out of the Western region. Get them over to Asia. I do not want the bonus wins in the West unless they're going to the Justice. So I was a big Shanghai fan. I was like actually like literally edge of my seat cheering for Shanghai in this match. So I was pleased with the outcome.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen like the final standings for how all the teams are doing right now, but
Pull
should
that up here. I'm gonna go back to
favor us.
we have our faces back on stream. Don't shotgun that
Oh
PC Brau
no.
sip of justice beer like you said you were
Yeah, putting my
gonna
key away right now.
do. All right, let's. So yeah, so you wanted to see what was it? The rankings, like overall rankings right now.
Yeah, with all the bonus maps and all that.
I wish. I mean, like I obviously like we don't have any bonus maps, so like I'm like a salty Stanley over here, but I wish they would have it without it as well. But all right, here we go. You'll see it in just a sec if you are like me, and when you're streaming, I watch the stream to make sure I don't look weird.
No, I get to see my full face on this OBS stream. But
nice. Yeah, so I mean, do they? I don't think they have the combined one, right? Is it just? I don't think we do. That was another frustrating thing. Like for a while, they also didn't have. Yeah.
Wait, no, yeah, that's you mean the combined with like the bonus maps and stuff?
Yeah. Because like I know that
I
this
think that's
is.
the point section. So there's
Sure.
points and then there's win of maps. It's like the first one. Oh, you mean from
I
both
sorry.
East and West? Never.
Yeah. I mean East and West, which like this is really all that matters until the playoffs because this is how you qualify for the playoffs and eventually the grand finals and stuff. So like these are really the only teams you should care about. But I'm always just curious. Like, I think I tweeted recently about like total improvement over the regular season, and I actually went through and did the math of like okay, like Shanghai has I took out the bonus wins because I just wanted to talk about the regular season. I just looked at like win loss and stuff, but yeah, Justice sitting at a strong fifth. I think I mean, if people are still sitting on the fence with their pick'ems, I think a potential good stage coming up for us. I saw that Watson put out their hero rankings, and the Justice were best on 3 of the 4 banned heroes. So I'm not saying that John Spector hates us, but like I'm saying that someone does.
Some mystical force. As long as it's not Nori picking the banned heroes again, I'm okay with it. I lost my mind when they were doing that on stream. I'm like, what is going on? A
like
cat is picking it.
I
It's
was
just
like
like it's
both
gonna pick whatever's closest to it.
yeah, I was like both hilarious, but also like people's careers kind of like matter. Like people's careers are like hanging in the balance of this. So like if we could take it like 4% more seriously, that would just be fantastic.
But yes, we won't have band heroes anymore, good or bad. We'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like if we just go like down the line here, like Dallas, Shanghai, I think are kind of even in my mind. They each have a stage win. I think the Shock are just better than Seoul. Like, just like I know they've struggled to get to Hawaii. I think they are though. Like Houston, Philly. I think I give the edge to Houston. Gladiators, Spark. I think I give the edge to the Gladiators. Chengdu, Justice. You know the answer. Like, I just think the West is just a stacked region right now. Just like really, really good teams. Like all the way down to like even like the lower tier teams like Boston and Paris down here. They beat us. Boston made it into the qualifiers. Like Paris was a map win from making it to the qualifiers. Like it's just a stacked region this year.
It's just like you can just see by the map differential on the sides. It's like so close, and then there's a drop off.
A bit of a drop off. Yeah, true.
Oh my god, that's rough. And then I don't know how it is in the East with their map differential, if it drops off as harshly down there.
Kind of for the Charge and the Valiant. Like Nixel, I think, was
Oh,
a little bit
yeah.
down in the dumps, but then they had this kind of good stage. I do think it is absolutely. I guess it's less so for the East because for
There's
them,
yeah.
I was just gonna say for the playoffs, they don't have to travel and stuff. But for the West teams, like if you finish fourth in Hawaii, just like obviously like going to Hawaii is cool, but like in terms of like the
Mhm.
effort and like the risk and the tiredness to walk away from that with zero bonus wins is absolutely brutal. Like it is a gut punch,
Mhm.
which did
Yeah.
not happen, right? So I think Nixel would have finished fourth this
Yep.
last one, and then in the first one wasn't.
Florida.
Oh, it was
Florida
Florida.
with Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Up. All right, we're going back to you and me.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, so Arena has added to her resume that she is now a scout and analyst staff and is going to tell us which teams are going to do well until she
Mhm.
does poorly. Then we're kicking her out and she's
Mhm. Mhm. And PR and merchandise and
back.
I don't know what else I've been tagged
You're on the
on.
Justice. I was gonna say you have like 5 hats.
Yeah, me and Liam are competing who has like more titles.
Nice, nice. I like that. You guys like the was like the North Korean generals with a bajillion of like those things hanging down. Yeah, we have like just like 10 minutes left in our DC Brau hour, and I want to talk a little bit while we had Arena on here about our live events. So for anyone
Mhm.
tuning in, or for anyone watching the video after the live broadcast, we are now doing live events. Arena has put in a ton of work to market these to add. We do like a lot of cool things. We do fan signings. We've talked about maybe in the future trying to do like a Q&A. There's giveaways. We have our retail store now where there's jerseys that you can buy, and occasionally we sign and give some of those. Um, that's kind of like I like kind of stole your thunder. Kind of that's most of it,
I mean,
right?
it's like most of it. It's not as big as like what Dallas and Houston are doing because we
Sure.
just want to like have as home of an experience and we're like limited by what our venue is and
Right.
we have a wonderful like practice space and ability to host these events so it's like why not host it where we practically live.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot more kind of like community oriented, right? It's a very different experience. Yeah, you don't. I won't even like you say it's not similar to Houston, but I think all Houston is like they have like a bar, right? It's similar to like what we did last year. Like I know that like Dallas is doing like the
Mm,
big stadium experience, but I
right.
think Houston might just be doing like that, and it's similar to kind of that feel where it's just like everybody knows everybody. Like when I walk out in between matches, like I can say hi, and I basically know everyone sitting there, and
Hmm.
um yeah, much more kind of like community than big fan thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, those have been really fun.
Yeah, it's been we first like planned this event like going into like COVID restrictions, so I know a lot about how DC COVID restrictions were, and then like the
I
day before our first one, they're just like, all restrictions are off, and I'm like, well, we'll still be safe going into this.
Yeah, and like Arena's done a great job because I think like our players were really worried about like COVID risk. I think it was someone on Paris, right? Was it I forget. It's like Don and Khan,
Dan,
right? I think
yeah,
it was like
yeah,
one of
and then a
them.
couple of Toronto ones, I think,
Yeah, there
as
was like a
well.
rash of
Yeah.
it. It was like Logix was in really bad shape. I think Hisu had it as
Hmm.
well or something. So like it's awesome that vaccinations are rolling out. It's awesome that things are better, but like Arena did an awesome job. Like I tweeted about it because I was so proud of how well we managed it. We were like requiring vaccinations, we were doing temperature checks, we were wearing masks, we were social distancing, we sanitized everything. So players went from like very apprehensive of like, what do you mean
The
everyone's
public.
coming to like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is totally fine, and it was a lot of fun, and they really liked it. It's cool because people have seen. I think like Nicole posted a video preseason when we were doing our open scrim, and like the walls are pretty thin in our facility, and you can hear the players shouting through the walls, and you can hear the fans going the other way. So that's a lot of fun too.
Yes, I love. I wonder like how the players feel when you guys are like aren't on a delay and we react to everything like 3 minutes after you guys have done an
It actually
amazing play or something
it
like
gives me
that.
like really great satisfaction when it lines up, and it lines up way more than I thought it would. Where like we
Oh,
would win a
really?
map,
Hmm.
there would be like a break, and then we would like win a fight in the ensuing map, but you guys would see the previous map win, and it's like you guys are cheering. It actually worked out like way better than I ever would have guessed. So it was not bad. The only change we made was I had to ask Arena to take away the thunder sticks. I swear the thunder sticks cut right through the walls and you could hear it on the player mics.
It's
Uh
okay. I'm happy with getting rid of those too. Less
yeah.
environmental impact. People just, like, they just use them and then they toss them, and
It's true.
that's
Yeah.
the story of
I don't
Thundersticks.
feel bad, like FIFA banned the vuvuzelas. We will ban the thunder sticks and go to organic cheering.
Yeah. I wonder how like the Dallas is gonna like handle it along with actually I think Houston's still playing from their facility. So it's
Oh,
just gonna be
really?
Dallas. They're gonna be on this stage and it's
Oh,
2,000 people apparently. I'm just like, oh man, that's a
are.
huge change for them. Oh well.
Yeah. Like I didn't follow up enough. I guess I assumed that Houston was gonna like jump at the chance to do that. And also like if I
To
was
play what?
Dallas,
Yeah.
yeah, I probably would have like leaned on the league or them a little bit, because it is very different to play in front of like 2,000 people than to play in your nice air conditioned facility with your pajama bottoms. Like
Hmm. And it's just like the other team will be in the comforts of their facility. Like, yeah, that's the only like difference I felt going into when we started hosting live events. I'm like, it will be loud, but they've played on stage with like audiences before, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the team
Especially
that you
those
are
guys.
playing
Like
won't be in the same sort of conditions.
yeah, and that kind of goes back to that consistency. Like maybe like players prefer playing in their facility, or some players prefer playing in front of fans. Like I know Dante's been like really vocal about like missing that. Um, but like ideally, you would have similar teams in similar circumstances. But kudos to Dallas. They're doing it for their fans, and I'm slightly worried because it's Texas, and I don't super agree with like how they've been handling the whole pandemic. But it sounds like I think esports tends to be fairly progressive in their fan bases and how they run.
Hmm. We'll see with some awesome contact tracing. I always love seeing like it was this like cookout that like 20 people got COVID. I'm just like, oh man.
My sister's a wedding photographer, and like she got
Mhm.
like subpoenaed by like the government like
Oh my
multiple
god.
times, where like if something happened they would like, subpoena her photographs so they could identify people and trace that way.
Oh my god.
uh yeah, she had a fun summer.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Houston one's like in a Heb grocery store, so I found that pretty interesting. I'm just like, how's that gonna work out? I don't know.
HEB's pretty legit. So I lived in Austin for a little while. I was an HEB
Mhm.
fan. It's no Wegmans. I'm originally from upstate, and Wegmans is kind of my jam. But HEB, not bad. Not bad as a grocery store goes. Not right just a homestand.
Mhm. I mean, everyone just like assumes that this all the Texas things are gonna like happen together. Like I was sitting
Yeah.
in Brent stream, they're like, "Oh, are you gonna go commentate the Dallas Houston game at the?" They just started calling it a homestand now too, and I'm just like, I don't think so. Oh, not we're not quite there
What are
yet.
you standing on, or against rather? You're just gonna homestand around. You're just gonna friends in Austin,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. There's
I mean that's
Austin with them in Austin, Dallas and Dallas, Houston and Houston. They could have
yeah, because like
tried to do
I
something,
went
but
to the
at the
Dallas
same time.
homestand in like season 2 or whatever, when there was like 3 homestands that year, and we
Mhm.
weren't we played in Atlanta, and so I went to the Atlanta one, but I drove to the Dallas one from Austin.
Oh my god.
Um, the one where like the power went out, and I was just sitting there in like sitting there like for like an hour and a half, like taking notes, like, oh, we should probably make sure that like the power grid can support our event.
Did you know that Dallas or not Dallas, the state of Texas has issued another, like, "Please limit your power usage because it's gonna get hot again."
I did. I have seen that on and off. I saw Dante like tweeted today or something about like them changing like firearms restrictions. Oh boy. Oh, to live in Texas again. I'm happy where I am. But it's exciting. It's we're slowly creeping back to normalcy, and also like it's good. It almost feels like a celebration for Dallas. They were a team that had really really heavy expectations for a lot of years, and I think they experienced a lot of frustration. And so now that they see that like
Mhm.
team that even if they aren't perfect all the time are going to be great, and their fans get to be excited about them, that's cool for them. Well,
Yeah, and I think Dallas is, like, one of the other teams just like us who are just very enthusiastic about having games in their hometown,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
so
It's like we're
very
not
happy
traditional
for all their
esports
fans.
cities. Like DC is really not like a lot of California cities, like New York City. They're used to kind of having these bigger, but not really something that you see a lot of in Texas or in DC. So yeah, that's a great perspective as well from the community.
Thanks, I do that. But, we should be having a game on July 2nd against the Rain or Spitfire. I think it's the Rain because I
I have
kept
this.
hyping this July
It is.
4th
It
as,
is
like,
because I remember.
American Revolution 2.0.
Yeah, I have the schedule. Where did I put it? I don't know. Oh no, here it is. It is Atlanta. Man, we have a stacked lineup. We are we are gonna really prove that we have bounced back. It is Atlanta, Florida, London Gladiators. Like
Okay.
three of the top five teams last
Mhm.
patch, and then London. But
American Revolution 2.0.
we'll see. London matches are interesting. The ping is always there, so that's something that's I expected that to be a bigger issue than it is. I think that servers that. Yeah. So yeah, the second and the fourth will be Atlanta and Florida. Really big. So we have a bye week the first week. I think most of our fans
Yes.
know that, but so, watch Overwatch, but like don't expend too much energy. Do you have any? Have you looked
No,
at the
watch
schedule?
it, like, figure out the meta, tell us what you think the meta is leaning towards
Win
and
your
all that.
pickums. Come on the preview. Talk about your pickums. Do you have any big predictions, Arena, that you want to leak to everyone trying to beat you in your pickums league?
Do more 3-0s, that's all I've got,
Or 3-0s?
literally.
Interesting. Is that because of like what happened stage one, or is that because you did a lot of 3-1s last stage and they ended up all being 3-0s?
That, the latter. I just need to lose more faith in some teams.
I think the takeaway from this
Uh,
whole stream is just lose faith in teams quicker. Arena.
yes, yes. You hope for the best, but expect the worst. So in your pick'ems, do whatever you think is logical, but, like, when you're cheering, cheer for whatever you wanna do.
Cut the
It hurts
emotions out
less.
of pickums. That's how you win.
Well, it's like if we win in against, like, Florida, then I'm happy that we won, but sad that I lost my pick'ems, but if we lose, then I'm like, "At least my pick'ems were
That's
okay."
so that's how I played fantasy. I just hedged everything. I would just like bet against my teams or bet against my favorite players because I was like, there will be something to be happy about after this weekend, either points
Mhm.
or my team, one or the other.
Exactly, exactly. Oh my god. We haven't even, like, delved into, like, my fantasy teams for
I
Overwatch
mean,
League.
maybe a future episode. Who's doing? So Pick'ems has now become like an official Overwatch League supported thing, but fantasy is
Mhm.
not, right? Fantasy is still a third party thing.
Yes, fantasy has jumped, like, every year to a different website, and they always get, like, abandoned halfway through the season, and it really sucks because 'cause we're very invested in these teams. But
They gotta
this
get
year
money. That was like the biggest thing. Like I refuse to join fantasy football leagues where there wasn't money on the line because like halfway through the
mhm.
season, people get bored and they stop setting their rosters or they start making stupid trades. And I'm like, why was I here for this many months? So that's my takeaway from this stream. Skin in the game. No, sorry, you were
Mine's
saying
just like my pure pride. Like I need a win. I always need a
the.
win and have my favorite players, of course. But we've actually worked with uh this website. They're called Draft Buff. They have a league especially for the Justice Washington Justice Discord. So if you join and you win for I think either the season or the stage, they will send you a Justice jersey, which is pretty cool.
Whoa, that's very cool.
Yes, but I'm only in like just custas as well, but I'm not doing as hot in there. I pick too much with my heart for the players.
That's
It's
okay. You
fine.
you only have to win one. Just everything else you just kind of brush under the rug. Win though, that goes in the Twitter bio.
Yes, of course.
Awesome. All right. Well, I see your cats roaming in the background. I know my dogs are ready for a walk 'cause I rushed home, but this has been awesome. This has been so good. I learned more about pick'ems, so maybe I'll start doing pick'ems. Can I start late? Is there any like it's kind of like week by week, right?
Yeah, so
You have to find like
the
other
league
late starters to join in with.
no, so like well, kind of maybe. The league does break it down stage by stage, so like you can just have like the May Melee and the June Joust ones, which is like why it showed up as number one in June Joust, but like in the all combined, I'm like 40 something. Um, so I think we could do one maybe for even just the Justice people
Oh,
and
that would be fun.
head to head.
I like it's.
You have too much insider
I
information.
was gonna say I do have insider info though, so I'll have to.
Make a general manager one. It'll be fun if you like win that one and get bragging rights, but it's also gonna suck if you don't win and you disappoint all of us at the Justice.
I'll just tell you guys it didn't happen. Like, oh yeah, they like broke up. No one ended up doing it. And then someone's gonna like tweet out with like me at the bottom of the rankings. I'm gonna be like, oh, that's because I stopped picking. Very cool. All right, well, yeah, join if you guys aren't, join the community Discord. Arena sets up really cool things like game nights. That's where you get announcements like our what do we call them now? Like our home games, I suppose.
Or just
Uh
watch parties.
Watch parties.
Yeah.
Watch parties, but they're so much cooler than everybody else's. Everybody else is like a watch party at a bar where you basically just like watching it with like your friends, which is cool. But like ours,
Mhm.
you get signed merch and giveaways and the screaming through the walls. Can't undersell the screaming through the walls.
No, I think the best part of if you come to the live events, you get to see the players squirrel away during the break to go outside, get some
It's just
fresh
yep.
air and stuff.
And there's DC Brau Sip of Justice, the final
Yes.
plug for the reason to come to the homestands. So thank you so much, Arena. This has been a blast. Thank you, DC Brow, for sponsoring these quick check-ins. We're gonna make sure that we get more fun conversations like this because we have really cool staff for the Justice. We want the chance to show them off to our fans as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Arena, for joining, and we'll see you guys next time.
Good night.
Bye.
Forever.